And we're recording. So this is the Kubernetes SIG Network meeting for Thursday, October 19th, 2017. We've got a few things in the agenda document. Starting off with a load balancer claim proposal. I'm not actually sure who it is who added this. Is that person on the call?
Yes, I added the item.
Cool. So you've got the floor. What would you like to talk about?
Yes, and I'm from Huawei, and the proposal is firstly proposed by Liang Mingqiang, and Huawei currently is very interested in this proposal, and I can work together with Liang Mingqiang to make a POC. Hi, Liang Mingqiang, are you here?
Yep, we can hear you.
Can you make a presentation about this about your idea? Hi, Liang Mingqiang.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were asking if I could hear you.
Okay. Hi, Liang Mingqiang. I guess you are here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Basically, the proposal want to make like a L7 load balancer management platform. So with this platform, user can create and manage L7 load balancer automatically. So currently, when a cluster administrator want to deploy L7 load balancer, he need to deploy it manually, or like through some script or something like that. After this proposal, he can just write a YAML file or JSON file, and Kubernetes or the he can write a load balancer claim YAML, and Kubernetes can automatically deploy L7 load balancer for him, and he can he can deploy multiple L7 load balancer and roles across different load balancers.
Yeah. So I think hi, this is Bowie. So I think you sent out the proposal both on GitHub and on Google Doc, and it would be good to know kind of, I think some people gave some feedback. I'm not sure at what the state of the proposal is. It would be good to understand kind of what are the next steps and sort of moving forward on it, or what additional work needs to be done. Hello?
So, it looks like there's been some relatively recent activity on that GitHub proposal.
Yes.
But I can't tell just from a glance like what state that's in. Is that it looks like there are still options being considered for what this should look like.
Okay. Firstly, I post both the proposal in GitHub and the Google Doc, and wanted to see if the community guys are interested in this proposal. as you know, this proposal is very big, and just think of the PD and PPT. It's the related stuff can be wide and big.
Are the two docs here in the minutes the same? The GitHub one and the Google Docs?
Almost the same. Almost.
Yeah. So one suggestion is to either, if you want all the comments in Google Doc, to basically have the GitHub PR basically just say look at the Google Doc, or have the Google, or just not use the Google Doc. It was very confusing because I think people ended up commenting on both, and then it was not clear which one was actually the one that was going to be the final.
Okay. The Google Doc can be the final version.
Okay, yeah, it would be good to update the GitHub to say that.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think there were some comments, and then I think people got confused.
Yes, I wanted to know if the proposal makes sense. And actually, I'm working with Liang Mingqiang to try to make it workable. But you know, there can be multiple implementation options. We can do that in one way, and can also be in another way. So I would like to. Okay.
Yeah, in that vein, I looked briefly at the proposal, and it seemed like it would be useful to remove some of the implementation piece and really just talk about because what you're proposing, this load balancer and load balancer claim, are kind of like API level constructs that we want to add, and that would be good to kind of sort of have the community discuss that by itself in some ways, and then the implementation is sort of another piece. That way, the thing won't be too gigantic to consume.
Yes, I agree. And the other, my another concern is that the proposal consists of two parts. The first one is the API writer, and then the other one is the controller. Actually, I don't know why the controller can place in the Kubernetes repo or in the Ingress repo.
I think what Bo is saying is we should scope this to just the API at the moment. So we can start with agreeing what the API is before we start reviewing or thinking about what the controller looks like.
Okay, cool. Okay, I understand.
Another very important thing is what's the functionality we need to implement. So it influences our decision about the API. I think we need to discuss first what functionality is important and what is not.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is it would be good to have something like sort of things that are missing right now that you kind of want to address, and then the API. And I think those two things will, if we just focus on those and then not get lost in implementation, it probably would be be easier to move forward on. I think as it stands, the document, since it has both, then people kind of get lost trying to sort of consume the whole thing.
Okay, I understand.
Cool. So does that then give you some clear next steps on how to move forward with those that proposal?
We would like to press it in 1.9, or I'm not sure if is that okay.
Given it's a major API change, that might be, and this is a short cycle, that seems very ambitious. But let's split the proposals and see where it goes.
Yeah, I think probably the most we could do is target a kind of final proposal for the 1.9 cycle rather than an implementation.
Okay.
So next thing on the list was something I added. So we've got KubeCon coming up in December, and a few weeks back I had sent out a request for a speaking slot for SIG Network, and we do have that. So we have, I think it is half an hour available to us to give a SIG Network kind of deep dive update. Actually, it looks like it's quite a bit more than that. It looks like it's over an hour. So I am happy to run with that, but I would also appreciate, if anybody's interested in contributing to that or taking the lead on that. We do have a slot. So I kind of wanted to use this just as a, spread that information and look for any potential people who are interested in either leading that effort or helping out.
Question about that. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you see how you're going to structure the hour in terms of the deep dive presentation? Is it a presentation for a solid hour or like?
Well, I think that's something we we have an opportunity to define.
Okay.
My guess is that we wouldn't have an hour's worth of stuff to just talk towards people.
Right. Also boring, probably.
Yeah. But there is probably some valuable insight we can give to the broader community about what we've been doing and what things we've been thinking about and so on, and then maybe lead that into a more of an interactive breakout session or something like that.
Right. Would it be worthwhile to start a doc and have the SIG kind of throw exciting ideas, or things that they think would be interesting, and then from that we can kind of boil it down to the structure that would make sense? Like, I can see all sorts of.
That sounds like a good way to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. So I can start that doc and circulate that.
Awesome, thanks.
It looks like, Daniel, did you add that note about IPv6?
Yeah, I figured if all goes well, we get v6 into 1.9. Just kind of threw it out there as a question if we want to take part of that speaking slot and just discuss what was added for v6.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's definitely an area we've put a bunch of effort recently, so it'd be good to talk about that. So the next thing I had on here was kind of 1.9 planning. So we left off, I guess, 4 weeks ago with just kind of a brain dump of things we thought we might want to do. And I thought it'd be good to take just some time to kind of really solidify what we think we can accomplish for each of those in 1.9. So let me see if I can share my screen for this. This guy. Can you all see that? Yes, cool. So this is that doc I was just talking about. It's got a bunch of things that fell out of 1.8 and new ideas for 1.9. I have gone and just stuck a row into our kind of planning spreadsheet for each of these. And I think it would be good just to go one by one and see, what's in progress, what can we accomplish in 1.9, and how do we want to prioritize that. So at the top of the list is just based on what was in the doc, is KubeNet deprecation. Daniel, I think I saw you on here.
Yeah, so I think where we left it was we were going to decide whether we wanted to move to something like point-to-point versus bridge. And I think there was some discussion about whether we still saw that bug, the kernel panic bug. I think if we decide to move to point-to-point, it's really straightforward and easy to do. if we want to keep the bridging stuff, then we need a place to put all the workarounds that we have. And we have to push that into CNI.
Yeah. So my recollection was, and actually I think we have some notes here. Yeah. So maybe what we should do is for 1.9, we should have like it says here, the goal be to test and gain confidence in the P2P plugin. Maybe that's the kind of achievable thing for the next month or so.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. I can take that.
Done. Okay, so we will. Oops. And I think that's with you. Chris, are you still involved in this? Might not be on the call. Okay, so I'll leave that as is then. So next is IPv6 support. Where are we on that, Daniel?
Yeah, we're tracking along pretty well. What I did is, if you go to, I think it's the notes column, the last column, I created a Google Doc that really just tracks the P0 pull requests, and I would say most of these pull requests have been in a good state for some time now, and it's just a matter of getting them merged. I think the first in the list, we're looking for the KubeAdmin folks to give us feedback on how to refactor the pull requests, but other than that, I think it's just a matter of getting these things merged. So I created this tracker because if you go and you just look under pull requests and the repo and filter under the IP area IPv6 label, there's quite a few more pull requests there, but the ones in this tracker we're pretty much deeming priority 0 that we absolutely need in for 1.9.
Cool, that's useful. So this is, with this set in, would we be comfortable saying that we have alpha support for IPv6 or beta support for IPv6?
I would say that we'd feel comfortable. The caveat is, and Dane, please speak up if you're on the call here, is there is another set of pull requests that are all related to adding the end-to-end tests, and so that would be another, I think, 5 or 6 pull requests that need to get merged as well. So I guess that's the one caveat is, when it comes down to, does V6 work in Kubernetes? Can you use all the different typical resources of pods and services and deploy using KubeAdmin? Then this release tracker that I provided as a link will meet that need. But we, of course, want to make sure that we've got the end-to-end test support in there. And so, Dane, if you're on the call, is there any more you want to add to the end-to-end test stuff?
No. I think you've said it. We have those critical IPv6 fixes that we need to get in order for the end-to-end test suite that we picked out will work. And then we're going to have to start looking at what the Kubernetes test infrastructure is. We haven't started looking at that, but if anybody can guide us, we need to look at how do we trigger the V6 testing, and where do we put test logs and artifacts, just basic infrastructure things like that. But we do have a set of test suites that run and they test basic pod connectivity and service connectivity from pods to services, endpoints to services, etc.
Did you reach out to SIG testing? See if anyone there.
Not yet, but yeah, we're going to start camping out on their.
Yeah, that would be
IRC.
good.
Yep.
Because they actually own the CI portion, at least the infrastructure portion.
Yeah, it's a good point. We'll do that.
And Dane, I know Paul has attended some of those calls in the past, so you may want to sync up with him and get.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much we can get done before the 1.9 drop dead date, but we'll try to get something going.
Yeah, so Casey, I guess that's just the one caveat when it comes to a functionality standpoint. This PR tracker is what we need for functionality, and then the caveat being is the end-to-end tests if they make it in 1.9 or not.
Yeah. So that sounds to me like we can definitely target something we label as alpha, as an alpha feature, which is IPv6 with these caveats. So I think that's represented here as it is right now.
Okay.
Next was IPVS kube proxy to beta. So I think this one's already underway. Are any of the Huawei guys on here working on IPVS?
Yes. It's me again.
Oh yes.
It's me
Yeah.
again.
So
And
I think we've agreed what we want to target for beta for this. Is that right? On the mailing list.
yeah.
Cool.
I want to add something. Since the guys from Tiger, I think the guy is Song Jiang.
Yep.
He said we can use the IP set to replace the IP tables rules in coproxy mode. And I think this idea makes sense, and I'm working to make it workable. So I would like to add the IP site support in IPVS in the beta version. So that's all.
Cool. Sounds good to me. Yeah, I know he's been looking at that, but haven't spoken with him too much. Yes. So next on the list was network policy egress insider support, which we just added in 1.8 as a beta feature, moving this to GA.
So the thing that's missing there is there's that one PR about changing the storage version of the object, and it causes tests to fail, and it seems like nobody in the entire Kubernetes organization understands what needs to be done.
Right. So that's, yeah. So that's for moving the, or rather deprecating the beta object, is that right?
Yes, that is one release before we can deprecate the beta object.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is subtly different, although we may want to try and tackle that as well. Because this, I think, is just saying even on the v1 object, we have this egress and IP block section, which currently the documentation says is beta. So I think this is more straightforward, but I agree we might want to have a line item here, which is start that beta deprecation process.
Yeah, this is Chris. On the egress CIDR ends, I'm trying to think if there was things that we specifically wanted to do that weren't just directly affecting network policy, as in trying to get away from the nothing implying ingress all the time, basically having another policy peer of type none. It doesn't really have much to do with egress or IP blocks specifically. Does anybody note, I mean, I'm inclined to almost just leave it for another release as beta as far as CIDR and egress goes, because I think the reason why we wanted to go to beta within the first place is to gather feedback from people on if they're using it. And I'd be surprised if there's a significant amount of people that have even upgraded to the 1.8 yet and are actively using it in conjunction with a CNI plugin that supports it.
Yeah, so in OpenShift, we won't have implemented this stuff when 1.9 is going out. I don't know if anyone else already has implemented it or not.
So we've definitely implemented it in Calico, but I agree we should probably wait for a couple other solutions to have done this before we punt it to GA. So yeah, maybe this is not a candidate for 1.9 then. And perhaps instead we should be looking at that start deprecation v1 beta 1. And that would cover switching over the storage layer, which nobody knows how to do.
Just as a clarification, that's just for network policy, that line item?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So is anybody interested in being the point person on this?
I mean, I can continue being the point person, but yeah, it's just, I don't actually know what needs to be done, and I'm not sure who does.
Sorry, I missed it. Which part was that? Like the flipping of the backend to the newer storage version?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I haven't taken a deep look. I'll try to replicate it locally. I do know that there was a subtle bug in some of the conversion logic that we had that Jordan Liggett fixed and cherry picked to this 1.7 release. I have no idea if that may have been affecting it at all, because it prevented you from basically rolling forward with 1.7 things like resubmitting it. I know that's kind of vague, but I'll try to help out with that, Dan.
Yeah, Chris, should you actually own that if you're going to be doing the active work?
Yeah, you can mark me as an owner. I think that's like the last bit, though, isn't it, Dan? We just need to fix the failing tests.
Well, you know, the failing test may indicate arbitrarily deep problems. That's sort of the issue. But yes, I mean, pretty much it's just people have said that the code looks good. It's just a matter of getting the test to pass.
Okay, yeah, you can mark me as an owner for that.
Already done. Cool. Multiple pod IP addresses. So this was in 1.8 with Mike. Mike, are you on the call? Seems not. So I'm not sure where we got with this in 1.8. What were we? Looks like we weren't really targeting anything here either. Is there somebody else who has been involved in this or working with Mike on this?
I know
Dan Williams would be the
on the multiple networks part.
Multiple network bits, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much that overlaps.
Okay, so maybe I need to just reach out to Mike and see what's on with this guy. Mark it as that for now. Multiple networks. think this is Dan. So we ended up with a summary of use cases at the end of the 1.8 cycle. I think, we're still in a kind of weird place with this one. And I'm not sure I'd quite feel comfortable setting a goal without Dan here on the call. So this might be another one we have to punt on until he's around. But either way, given the short release cycle, it's probably a relatively small increment that we can make. Core DNS as default cluster DNS. That feels a bit aggressive to me.
This is John Bellarmine from Core DNS. So we're just talking about alpha, so that means that it wouldn't be the default cluster DNS in 1.8. It would be it would just be an alpha option. So the different deployment projects would go ahead and implement that within whatever mechanism they have. So like Minicube's already implemented it, or we put it in Minikube as an add-on. We've got a Kubeadmin PR out there as well as a feature gate.
Okay, so is this mostly a get this into people's hands type task at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, we have we have a number of people out there using it in production. So Core DNS, for those who don't know, it's a sister CNCF project. So we're a general purpose authoritative DNS server written in Go, and we built a plugin for Kubernetes. So basically, we put a couple watches on the Kubernetes API, and we serve the same DNS records that you would have gotten out of kubedns. But it's a single process instead of 3 different processes, and gets rid of all the memory unsafe code that DNS masked, for example, with the vulnerabilities we had recently. So and offers a bunch of features that nobody in their right mind would build in kubedns because they're general purpose DNS features, but they let you do a lot of things that you wouldn't otherwise easily be able to do kubedns. So we started talking to some folks about it actually back at the last KubeCon in Seattle, and but we were nowhere near ready at that time. So we've been working on it since then, and and put together a proposal and a feature issue, and I think we've gotten pretty good support on that. We did some performance analysis that was asked for. As far as I know, as far as I can think of, that's the only thing left open question on the proposal was the performance piece, which we were able to put some numbers to yesterday.
What about upgradability? Like from my version of, like, say I upgraded a 1.8 from 1.8 to 1.9, will I be able just to deploy the core DNS pods and things will seemingly would just work?
In the yes and no. In the simplest use case, the sort of if you don't have federation and you don't have any customization of the kubedns config maps, then yes. But if you've customized the kubedns config maps, it's the way we configure those same things is different. We can do all the same things, but we configure it differently. So one of the proposals we have, and I guess I'd ask this group, like, is this something we need to just be an alpha, right? But one of the proposals we have is to provide a mechanism to read the core. There's some discussion of this on the proposal if you want to take a look, but basically to take the existing config maps and have a little piece of software that's going to translate them into the config map that we need. So that's one option there, and there's some discussion of doing that like in the Kubeadmin upgrade process, but none of that's there today. That's more things we'd need in the future.
Yeah, I mean, this is Bowie. It sounds like for alpha, we can wait on that for beta in terms of the upgrade story. it would be good to get this usable in the distro so that, for example, we could run scale, like the massive scale tests against it as an option?
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be great.
So
that's exactly. If we're in there, then we can use some of that test infrastructure that's today it's kind of challenging to do.
Right. So what is this waiting on? It's waiting for some approvals, and then you guys have the PRs queued up to add it.
We have the PR for Kubeadmin. I think we've addressed the issues on there, but there may have been, it's probably aged a little bit and probably needs a rebase with it by now. But Minikube 1's already in. So then it's from there. I don't know what other PRs, what other projects we need to approach to get this ball rolling. We're willing to put in the work on those PRs or with guidance from some of the other projects like COPS or whoever. But that's
right. Oh, I'm wondering, do you guys have open PRs against the clustered SH, the Cube up shell scripts? Unfortunately, that is the thing that's currently bootstrapping all the CI today.
No, we figured those, we didn't need to do that. They're deprecated, but I guess if it's all the CIs there, we need to do that.
Yeah, it's deprecated but used. So yeah, so it'd be good to have that. Then you could sort of be part of the main CI potentially.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll take a look at that.
Great. Next was proposing the future of ingress, which is a doozy. Yeah, so Thakin suggested this one. I know it's been kind of in the background for a while.
I can, this is Bowie, I can sort of send the initial email. I probably won't have all the ideas, ideas. But I think what Tim was saying was we should get some kind of generic set of ideas so that the discussion at KubeCon won't be just starting from scratch.
Yeah, so I think that's right. He wanted to have some kind of seed. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Okay, I can own that. At least the initial.
Yeah.
Starting the discussion.
Sounds good. And then this is just started.
Hey, Bowie, if I can ask you, well, none of us in the CoreDNS organization are part of the Kubernetes organization. How would we go about, we can do this offline if it's extensive, how do we go about, I would think we need an image that's going to be in the GCR registry and all of that, as opposed to pulling it off of our Docker hub. So I guess what are sort of some of the processes of getting that in place would be helpful.
Yeah, let's discuss that offline. We can.
Okay.
Hello? Oh yeah, we can figure that out. But just,
can you? Thanks. What was that?
Can you ping me?
Sure, of course.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
So I think Dan Williams had Windows Kube Proxy on here. Is anybody familiar with the state of that? Nope. So we'll have to wait for Dan on that one as well.
I thought Kube Proxy was merged, but the CNI changes were not.
Okay. Let's see if there was any more. Nope. Okay, so I think we probably still need to talk to Dan to see what he meant by this. Maybe that was just pre-merged and this is done. So I'll reach out to him about that. And then the final one was the load balancer claim proposal, which we talked about earlier, which I think we want to say, design complete or the proposal is merged. Or maybe let's say API design doc. So we want to have that done.
Hi. I have
Hi.
a question. Hi, I have a question.
Okay.
I wonder if we can finish the API design before make a decision of what is the key feature of this proposal. So I don't know.
I think that same proposal doc will have what are the key features or problems that we're trying to solve in it, plus the design of the API changes that would solve those. Does that make sense?
Okay. Do you mean in the API design proposal we can I can add some details about the features, about the key features?
Well, yeah. So clearly there's some problem that this design is trying to solve, right? Some feature it's trying to add.
Yeah.
So I think the doc should start with that. So what are the things that are lacking today? What are the problems this is trying to solve? And then, people who are reviewing will start with that and say, I agree, these are problems that we should solve. So yeah, kind of the first step towards having an agreed design doc is agreeing that there are problems we want to solve.
Okay, I will try to set almost. I think it's a bit challenging.
Cool. So that's all we've got here. A few more that I will follow up on and try to populate by the next meeting. Let's see. So John, you had core DNS as default next.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that. It looked like there were some questions about IPv6. Core DNS itself supports IPv6 just inherently, but we haven't done anything with regards to maybe we can have a discussion offline about that as well. As far as, are there API changes associated with that, or how does that work as far as IPv6 and IPv4 endpoints? So there might be some tweaks we have to make in our integration.
Yeah, and you can look at in the DNS repository, there's an outstanding pull request that covers one of the changes that was needed for kubeDNS to support IPv6. And I just wanted to call it out that it's on your radar, since it looks like we're going to be moving forward with alpha support in 1.9.
Okay, thank you.
And then the final thing on the list is from Doug about good first issues to tackle as a new contributor.
Hey guys, this is Doug, Doug Smith. I hang out in the SIG Network Slack, so I'm familiar with some of the faces and some of the people I see regularly, and I work at Red Hat. To keep it not long-winded, I would like to pitch in and learn a bit more. And I've taken a look through some of the docs you guys have together where, there's the notes for this meeting and where the open issues are, labeled with SIG Network. But I'm wondering if anyone has any suggestions for me for, potential issues to look at, or an area of issues to look at to maybe help you guys with bug burn down, and maybe also do something useful while learning a bit.
I have one suggestion. This is Bowie. I have one suggestion, which doesn't really have a bug attached to it, but I think the E2E tests, when they fail, they tend to be completely inscrutable to debug. So in terms of the networking tests, so sort of like even just something as basic as going through and cleaning up the logging and the output of the tests would actually be super useful.
Okay. All right, that's excellent to know. All right, cool. That's definitely something I will take a look at. That's great. I appreciate any idea like that. So thanks, Bowie.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to you, Doug, for coming and looking to contribute. That's pretty awesome. I just discovered the other day that we do have some standard labels in the Kubernetes repo, at least, for marking things as kind of good first contribution type tasks. And I don't think that we are using those at all in our kind of SIG triage process. So kind of related to this, I think that would be a great thing to kind of start doing. So as people come, we can really easily point them to these are things that would be sort of good ramp up and helpful bugs to pick off.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I will look for those tags in case anybody starts tagging them that way. But awesome.
So that is it for the agenda. Does anybody have more they'd like to talk about before we call it a day?
For the ingress stuff, did we say we're going to take that to a Google Doc or something, or things we want to do?
Yeah, I think that take it to the mailing list and the Google Doc. Hello?
Okay,
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah, Boa, you said you're gonna shoot out an email to get that conversation started.
Yes.
Cool. All right. I'll give you all 9 minutes back. Thanks all.
Thank you.